Hi, greetings from one family under lockdown to another. Well, here we are under house arrest nationwide. The unthinkable, the impossible happened. We all repeatedly got text messages from government that said, stay home. Planes are parked in their thousands worldwide. The inroads to cities run empty. At least the earth is breathing a sigh of relief. Air pollution is clearing up, and we can see the sky again for a change. Wonder what happened?
I heard that somebody in Wuhan ate unclean meat with a virus that never before entered the human body. So all of this is because of an unseen virus that gave the whole world a time-out notice, a lockdown period. What can we do to build the immunity against the virus? And how can we prepare for the next unimaginable event that we all know is coming soon?
Well, let's Google and use authoritative literature to give us some answers. The word NEWSTART is a trade name registered by the Weimar Medical Institute. Their motto is to heal a hurting world. The word is an acronym that represents principles of physical and spiritual health, namely nutrition, exercise, water, sunlight, temperance, air, rest, and trust. So let us investigate these principles using the latest scientific insight we can find. And if you know of discoveries or knowledge that we missed out on and should be mentioned, then feel free to contribute in the comments. Okay, so let's get a point of departure. Can we find some common ground that we all agree on so that we use the same glasses to look at the findings? There is a Bible verse that says, test everything that is said or written and hold on to that what is good. Let us consider Pascal's wager. The 17th century French philosopher, mathematician and physicist Blaise Pascal postulated that all mankind bet with their lives that God either exists or does not exist. Pascal argued that a rational person should live as though God exists and seek to believe in God. If God does not exist, then such a person will have only a finite loss. If God does exist, man stands to receive infinite gains, as represented by eternity in heaven, and avoid infinite losses, hell and oblivion. Whether consciously or without thinking, every person will choose. In Matthew 12:30, Jesus put it this way, "He who is not with me is against me." But there is also gain in the present life. In Exodus 15:26 it states, "If thou wilt diligently hearken to the voice of the Lord thy God, and wilt do that which is right in his sight, and wilt give ear to his commandments, and keep all his statutes, I will put none of these diseases upon thee which I have brought upon the Egyptians, for I am the Lord that healeth thee." One example of such a gain is in the very crisis that we have at the moment, unclean food. The current corona COVID-19 virus outbreak is a direct result of disobedience to God's law of not eating unclean meat. Before the lockdown started, this daycare center started to prepare the kids for what was coming and to educate them on the consequences of being disobedient to the laws that govern our health and well-being. Another example of a gain in the present life is the avoidance of cancer. A Loma Linda University study in 1954 concluded that Seventh-day Adventists have at least a 90% lower risk of lung cancer than smokers because they take a vow when in the baptismal font that they state that their body is a temple of the Holy Spirit and that they will honor God by caring for their body in abstaining from such things as alcoholic beverages, tobacco in all its forms, and from unclean foods. In the 1980s, in the 1800s, when doctors smoked themselves and recommended smoking to patients, the early church founders like Joseph Bates, John Kellogg, E.G. White came out strongly against the use of tobacco. In 1864, when doctors still recommended smoking as good for your health, E.G. White said, "Tobacco is a poison of the most deceitful and malignant kind, having an exciting, then a paralyzing influence upon the nerves of the body. It is all the more dangerous because its effects upon the system is slow developing and at first scarcely perceivable. Multitudes have fallen victim to its poisonous influences." Another gain in the present life is avoidance of fetal alcohol syndrome. 3 million are affected in South Africa, according to the Department of Social Development. In the JAMA Pediatrics publication, Journal of American Medical Association, 2017, estimated that South Africa is the highest in the world with 111 per 1,000 children developing fetal alcohol syndrome. May et al., a South African, in the publication ACER, Alcohol Clinical Experimental Research, indexed the Western Cape as 207 per 1,000 children. What a sad situation. The harmful effect of alcohol results in 2.5 million deaths globally each year. 320,000 young people between the age of 15 and 29 die from alcohol-related causes, representing 9% of all deaths in that age group. 2.4% of all deaths in the AFR, I can't remember what that stands for, are attributable to alcohol, injuries, cancer, cardiovascular diseases, and mental disorders. Alcohol is the world's third largest risk factor for disease burden. South African adults' per capita alcohol consumption in 2005 was 9.5 liters of pure alcohol per capita. Average for Southeast Asia region is 2.2 liters. The combined total tangible and intangible cost of alcohol harm to the economy were estimated at 10 to 12% of the 2009 gross domestic product, published in SAMJ 2014. Another gain in the present life is to be at peace with self. Putting trust in an existing God can give remarkable resilience and peace of mind. And we have beautiful examples coming to us documented in history. And one of them is the example of Joseph, son of Jacob, who was the son of Abraham, who progressed from being a slave and prisoner in Egypt to second in command of Egypt. Can you imagine that? What kind of personality he must have had. What determination to rise above his pathetic situation in prison. What was his secret? He had a determination demonstrated by his documented words. How can I sin against God? Another example comes from from Daniel 6. In Daniel 6 is one of the greatest psychological case studies you can find in literature. Just imagine it, a king who has all the power in the world at his disposal at the snap of his fingers, but he can't sleep, agonizing about the consequences of a decree that he signed. What an irony. The Bible says the sleep has left him, but while he is pacing the corridors of his palace, Daniel in the lion's den is at peace with the big cats, possibly even running his fingers through their manes, possibly even using one of them as a pillow for the night. Daniel had no risk of anxiety attack, depression, stomach ulcers. No fear for the lions, and the lions noticed that. Daniel's secret to success in life was his dependence on a power beyond himself, a lifestyle that brought him physical and spiritual health. I will never forget his words as a young captive. Prove thy servants, I beseech thee, 10 days, and let them give us pulse to eat and water to drink. Well, you know the consequences of that. Both water and pulses is captured in the acronyms that we will investigate. I trust you are as interested in what we are about to study as what I am. Another gain to the present life is resilience. In the JAMA Internal Medical Journal, and in fact in many scientific publications that you can search on Google, it demonstrates that regular churchgoers have a statistical better chance of surviving a traumatic experience than non-churchgoers. If you are ready to do some critical thinking and have an open mind to discern the differences between fact and fiction, or between truth and tradition, then take up the challenge that is posed in Dr. Bandit's videos on YouTube or by reading his book. I must give you a warning, do not catch yourself in the scenario that Mark Twain described so aptly. He who is convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. Allow your will to be guided by an open mind and honestly seeking the truth. In the Book of Wisdom, there is a verse that states, "Then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." I want to tell you about the Victor Valley Medium Community Correctional Facility in Adelanto, California. Terry Moorland, a CEO of Maranatha Private Corrections, bid for a 500 inmate private prison in 1997. His bid stipulated an option for vegan meals and the NEWSTART program. And he must have had some convincing arguments in his presentation to the prisoners, because 85% of inmates decided they will subscribe to this option. Over the 7 years of the contract that Terry Moore won, recidivism fell from the state average of 95 to less than 2%. The NEWSTART program included a vegan diet, Bible study, job training, and anger management. Unfortunately, the contract was not renewed due to a dispute over inmate phone revenue. The vegetarian spotlight of 9 July 2011 has this to say about that experiment. Although the state of California was very supportive of the NEWSTART concept, they told Moorland that they didn't believe that even 5 inmates of the 500 would accept that kind of a diet. In fact, they told Moorland that inmates would probably burn the place down before they became vegetarians. However, once the program was in progress, the opposite became true. On average, 85% of the inmates chose the NEWSTART side, while only 15% chose the CDC program. The remarkable behavior changes could even be seen outside in the prison yard, where, according to the prison officials, nobody owned or controlled the yard. Typical lines drawn between blacks, whites, Hispanics, gang members, and other groups were non-existent. On the NEWSTART side, everyone played basketball together and had great fellowship. In testimonials, inmates commented that the surprisingly good-tasting food led them to feel better, have greater energy, increased stamina, and reduced problems with acne. Indeed, the effectiveness of a vegetarian diet in rehabilitation has been scientifically validated. Although the state of California apparently preferred to pursue phone revenue over rehabilitated inmates, the success of the Victor Valley facility gives us something to think about. In the magazine, it shows the increase in incarceration of Americans, especially since the late 1970s, 1980s, which must have something to do with the American lifestyle. And it states, the US has the highest incarceration rate in the world at the moment. Could we really change the rate of crime just by diet changes? Is a question that the magazine asks. Or the success of criminal rehabilitation just by diet changes? This is our reality, our country, our bodies, our future. We need to make some changes. A publication on the NEWSTART program, using the NEWSTART program in research, had the following finding. The statistical evidence therefore indicates that practicing NEWSTART principles reduce stress in the majority of areas identified in the study. In this publication, the use of the NEWSTART program was studied as an intervention for hypertension. The results show that systolic blood pressure decreased significantly. In fact, if the p-value is less than 0.001%, then the response is actually highly significant, according to my experience. This response was achieved within 14 days. Medications were discontinued or decreased by up to 93%. This lifestyle intervention was found to be appropriate for first-line treatment for hypertension. Weimar Institute is truly achieving remarkable results with their NEWSTART program. I want to end off with a statement that Thomas Jefferson made, previous American president. He stated, "I have always said and always will say that the studious pursuit of the sacred volume will make better citizens, better farmers, better husbands. The Bible makes the best people in the world." And with this great words from a great leader of the past, I'm ending this presentation, and I trust that you received a blessing from it, and you are looking forward to the first presentation on one of the acronym letters. We will start with SUN, and in the meantime, while we are still in semi-lockdown situation, I want to encourage you strongly to get out in the sun, get some sunshine on your body, and produce some vitamin D. Increase your vitamin D levels. If you don't know it, try and find out what your vitamin D levels are. You will need it this winter.